right, everybody. Hey, you know what? Let's bring in everybody's favorite commissar of the political police. Political police, Commissar Hans. Commissar Hans with a memo from the DNC to Tavis Smiley. You will follow orders and read these approved questions and give them to Dr. Jill Stein of the Green Party. You will obey, you will comply, and give these questions to her. You will not be a free thinker, and you will obey and comply. Stand to attention when Commissar Hans is in the room. So, yes, Tavis Smiley, who's been in this business for years, was given an email telling him what to ask Dr. Jill Stein during an interview. Folks, let's have democracy in the chat. Why would the DNC tell a journalist what to do on their own show? Type 1 for Kit. Maybe they're asking real, legit questions so that the public can know what's going on. How dare you assume that there's an insidious conspiracy to tell journalists or rein in free speech? How simply dare you? Type 2. They gave him a memo. Be like, hey, you're going to ask this. You're going to ask this, or else you're going to get a knock from the door from political police. Commissar Hans. I wonder how many 2s are going to be in the chat. I wonder for this one. I wonder. And it is rather unbelievable because the thing is, this didn't happen to me in regards for a political party telling me what to do, but I've had activists and people who were maybe somewhat quasi-connected, but not full Democrat Party. But I've had activists tell me how I should run my show. I've had people be armchair generals and tell me and Daniel what we should do. Our response is, yeah, okay. Yeah, disregard what the hell they just told us, and we move on. And I don't like that happening to anybody. And look, I don't want any major political party, be it Democrat or Republican, hell, even Green and Libertarian, to go to any commentator, be they conservative, liberal, progressive, libertarian, independent, socialist. I don't want that to happen. No political party or institution should tell a journalist how he or she should run their show, be it on radio, television, cable, the internet, anything of that nature. I don't like it. And all of you should be absolutely furious because this calls into the question of, gee, what happens if the Democrats do take power? You know, I'm a little concerned here, my lovelies. But here, I want to play this video. This is Tavis Smiley telling people what exactly happened on his program.
And I'm doing this not because I mean to put you on the defensive at the outset of the conversation. I'm doing it because I've already shared with our audience 2 hours ago when I first came on the air today that in the middle of the night last night, I received an email from the DNC. It came from a private email. It did not come from a DNC email, as I typically receive. I would not name the person who sent the email, but it came to me from a DNC official. And let me just read what this email says. I'm reaching out from the DNC because it is my understanding that Tavis Smiley will be interviewing Jill Stein this week. I wanted to put a few things of note on your radar screen for it being, of course, the conversation. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you. And so there are about 5 or 6 things here that the DNC evidently wants me to ask Jill Stein. So in full transparency, these are not my questions to start this conversation. These are from the DNC, and I want to give Dr. Jill Stein a chance to respond to them. And maybe we'll get into some conversation about what it means that the DNC is tracking this thing the way they are.
It does say a lot.
To send me questions to ask Dr. Jill Stein. I'll leave that, as my grandmother, Big Mama said, we're going to leave that lay where the good Lord done flung it. I'm going to leave it right where it is. And I'll let you process that for yourself. But these are the things that the Democratic Party wants me to ask of Dr. Jill Stein.
And I'm glad he brought it up to his guests. Like, hey, heads up, this is what the Democratic Party wants. So here's the thing, Democrats. Were you expecting Tavis Smiley to just not acknowledge that you sent those questions to him and maybe have him pretend that those were his own questions from his own thoughts? Because see, when I host and do my interviews, I like to do research on the person, like to do, a little bit of updates here and there, ask my own questions. Have you been following Hard Lens Media from the beginning? From the very beginning. If you've been following us from the beginning, like, hey, like my questions are my questions. My questions are my own. And I don't want any institution, political party, group, people, person, special interest telling me what to do. But he went out there and said, hey, middle of the night, I got this email from the DNC. So I don't know who could have sent it. Hey, folks, who do you think sent that email? Think it was Barack Obama? Donna Brazil? If it was Donna Brazil, it'd probably be like a whole novel. Kamala Harris? See, that cock Bernie Sanders? Chucky Boy Schumer? Gloomy Chucky? Who could potentially be America's first woman president? Tampon Tim? Hill Dog? Hey, world's your oyster on this one. No such thing as a wrong answer. But here was something that Jill Stein did say in response to that.
I just want to know, has anybody tried to control your interview of a presidential candidate or any other candidate before? Is this the first time? Is this routine? Is this like totally exceptional? Is this the DNC just assaulting your right as a journalist for the journalism you want to practice?
You want me to answer that?
Yes.
Yeah, as this is the first time I've ever had anything happen to me like this. I think people know who I am, and I'm an independent thinker. As I mentioned earlier, there were 2 other African American journalists earlier this year who were fired for asking Joe Biden questions that were sent to them by the Democratic Party. But this has never happened to me before in my career.
So it occurs to me, is this just something that the DNC does to Black journalists? Are they in the business of telling Black journalists what they can and cannot talk about in our elections? What's your thought about that?
I have no idea. The only persons that I'm aware of who have gotten caught up in this happen to be African American journalists, and obviously I'm an African American. In case you didn't know, I'm black. I'm a black man, proudly, unapologetically. So I don't know who else are getting these kinds of emails. I just know what I just shared,
and that's not right. I don't like that somebody decided to go ahead and send an email. And one can argue, and an argument can be made, Democrats, liberals, that you're bullying people. And you know what I've noticed? Maybe, and I could be wrong on this, but haven't you all noticed that all these liberals and Democrats really seem to be harsh or really abusive towards Black and brown people? Black and brown men and women. Have you all noticed that if a certain liberal commentator who's not white is actually kind of pushed around a little bit, or either that, they're made the front and center person defending the Democrats? It's almost as if a memo has been given. You will follow orders and comply. Tavis Smiley should not have any political party tell him what to do. I don't like it. You shouldn't like it. And you don't have to like Tavis Smiley. Hell, you don't have to like Hard Lens Media, but there's one thing you can agree. No political institution, be it Republican or Democrat, a Trump campaign or Kamala Harris campaign, or even a third-party campaign, should do that to any journalist. It is a job of journalism. It is a job of independent media, free media, true media, to hold those people in positions of power accountable, even up-and-coming candidates. There should be no email sent in the middle of the night, no telegram, no letter in the mail, no smoke signal saying you must give these questions and you must comply. Now, I've had activists and people tell me how I should do or who I should have on my show, which, by the way, maybe this is just me being a little petty here. Maybe, and you know what? I'm guilty of it. I am being petty. I am, because I've been getting angrier and angrier as this election cycle is nearing its end. I remember during the Trump years, all those activists and organizers saying, we must resist Trump. And then you guys went away when Biden got in. A lot of people went to bat hard for the Democrats during that election cycle in 2020. You know, all those resistance people, hey, they had a chance to fight again and defeat Trump. But Trump came back. And now, where are all of you, especially with all the shenanigans happening with the Democrats? No Ho-Fest protests, no marches. Everyone ignoring what Biden was doing, his mental decline, and him leading us to World War III and a crumbling economy. Can't ask those questions. But as soon as there's a third-party candidate, especially one that's taking Arab and Muslim votes away from Kamala Harris, well, of course, now they're getting upset. Which explains why the Democrats, yes, Democrats, you're guilty of it. You're guilty of the crime that you're accusing Trump of, and that is removing political opponents off the ballot, off the debate stage. You're censoring and silencing, suppressing people. You know, if AOC or Kamala really was brave, they would actually debate Jill Stein. But they can't do that because, well, they don't got that heart. They don't got that soul. They don't got that spine. They don't got that courage. They're running only on platitudes because the Democrats are afraid. And so, in the middle of the night, Tavis Smiley gets an email. Ask these questions to Jill Stein. And I'm pretty sure in the rest of the email, or either that, it might have been implied, pretend these questions are of your own. You know, and again, this is just an old wound. To those activists and organizers who told me and Daniel how to run our show or who we should interview. You know, just between us, because I love you, I've had people, and again, some of those activist people who I've had on my show, you know, who told me how to run the show, I've actually interviewed them too. They've been on the show too, you know, all that good stuff. You know, I've had people tell me that I shouldn't interview you either. You know, again, it's one whole crazy thing, you know. I don't like people telling me what to do, and I don't like people telling anyone else how to run their show or program. That's not why I do this. I'm not here to follow orders. I'm here to give my thoughts, analysis, and point of view on current events. And I expect all of you, my viewing audience, not to listen and comply, but to do your own research and read and look at other different sources. But here's the thing. The Democrats are so afraid. They're so scared because what was happening to Tavis Smiley, that's only the beginning. Because here, hey, let's look at our friends at CNN, as there's more attack ads against Jill Stein, because never once before have I witnessed this amount of vitriol and venom towards third-party candidates.
You can tell a lot about a person by the company they keep, like Jill Stein. Stein isn't sorry about swinging the 2016 election to Trump, and now she's being helped by MAGA allies and Trump's former lawyer. Longtime Klan leader David Duke endorsed her, and like Trump, she's cozied up to Vladimir Putin. Jill Stein, look at her friends, because a vote for Stein is a vote for Trump.
A new ad from Harris's campaign in the Democratic National Committee targeting third-party candidate Jill Stein. It is the second ad this month going after the Green Party candidate. They're both...
Oh, no. Jill Stein's not sorry. Guess what, liberals? I'm not sorry either for voting third-party and independent in every single election cycle. I'm not sorry. Yeah, I did it, and I'll do it again. And I encourage my audience to do the exact same thing. Where'd you learn to vote third parties? I learned it from watching Hard Lens Media, baby. Oh, yeah. As you should. As you should. It's okay to vote third party. It's okay to vote independent. And if you don't want to vote, that's fine too, people. But you know what? Like I said, I'm adopting the policy. Liberals, we've all tried to explain it about how, again, third parties aren't spoilers, that third parties aren't stealing votes. But you know what? We're done. Let's embrace our villain route. Yeah, we're stealing the votes. What you gonna do about it? Call the cops? Call the political police?
It's airing in 3 battleground states, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. The latest CNN polling averages show both Harris and Donald Trump are in a basically tied race in at least 2 of those states. In Michigan, CNN's poll of polls shows no clear leader, Harris at 49, Trump at 46. No clear leader in Wisconsin either, Harris 49, Trump at 46. With such narrow margins, every vote counts, obviously. These new Democratic ads suggest that they're concerned about Stein potentially becoming a spoiler. Last night at CNN's town hall, Harris was asked about voters who are considering supporting a third-party candidate, specifically because of the U.S.'s role in supporting Israel in its ongoing war in Gaza.
What do you say to voters who are thinking about supporting a third-party candidate or staying on the couch, not voting at all because of this issue?
Don't worry. We're going to talk about this town hall. We're going to talk about this town hall because I got to tell you, Kamala Harris having an original thought in her head, it's non-existent, okay? Hey, liberals, if you're so confident with Kamala, if you're so happy how Kamala handled herself against Trump, have her debate Jill Stein. Do it. That's if you're not afraid, are you? You know, strength, courage, heroism doesn't mix well with a liberal Democrat, does it? Because you guys are cowards. If you were so brave, you wouldn't be on this super rush campaign to try and remove Jill Stein off the debate stage and off the ballots in many states. It's almost as if you're afraid. And I got to tell you, if you guys lose, I am going to be feasting on your meltdown. Just hold still as you're crying. I want to get all angles. And you know something? It's going to be great. It's going to be great. It'll be delicious.
Listen, I am not going to deny the strong feelings that people have. I don't know that anyone who has seen the images who would not have strong feelings about what has happened. They also care about our democracy and not having a president of the United States who admires dictators and is a fascist.
All right, Karen Finney, there's a lot of scar tissue around third-party candidates in the Democratic Party. And because a lot of...
God, these people are smug. God, they make me vomit in my brain.
I know that you focus a lot on the role they played in Hillary Clinton losing the 2016 election. What is the danger here from Jill Stein?
The danger is that when we're in these elections where things are won on the margins, which
oh my God, the danger, Jill Stein. Oh, it's Stein. It's the Jill Stein. She's chasing us. We're not going to make it. It's Jill Stein. You know, again, if your candidate was so strong, debate her. Do it. But every time, Democrats, you show your same color, and that is yellow. You yellow belly.
11,000 votes here, 15,000 votes there. It could matter. It really could make a difference. And particularly in a state like Michigan that is going to be very tight, where, you know, you have, and people who say, you know, some of the folks who voted for after the fact in 2016 said, well, I wanted to send a message. And, you know, you sort of think, okay, but what message do you think you really sent here? And then they were disappointed when Trump won, because they thought they were sending a message and Hillary was going to win anyway. That's not how it works.
Well, that was part of the problem that everybody...
Oh, but you guys at CNN, every one of you bastards who corporate media, like, Hillary's got this in the bag, okay? Everybody vote blue, and let's go to lunch brunch. Oh, no, Hillary lost. Then when Biden gets in, people saying, yep, Trump's going to go to jail. Biden's in, everything's back to normal. Oh no, Trump's running again. Oh no, people aren't satisfied with Democrats. Oh no, Biden took a dump in his pants. Oh no, here comes third parties, and the Coca-Cola classic is third parties spoil everything. Well, I'm glad we spoiled everything. I'm glad we crashed your wedding. I am glad we're there feasting on the food. And yes, folks, I have actually been a wedding crasher and enjoyed a free meal. Why? Because I can get away with it. That's why. Ooh la la.
To put a finer point on it, in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin in 2016, Jill Stein got more votes than Hillary Clinton's margin. You cannot say that a third-party candidate does not matter. That's a choice for people to make, sort of where they want their vote to, what they want their vote to mean, but literally count up the votes in those three states, which are all pivotal ones this year.
My big question is, will voters, I think there was an effect in 2016. They felt, many of them who were on the left felt, well, it doesn't matter. I don't need to vote for her. She's going to win. I'm not sure that the feeling is the same.
No. This is me like, yeah, I'm going to vote against the Democrats. I'm not going to vote Republican, but I'll do my part to live rent-free in a liberal's head. That's right, Democrats. That's right. I'm encouraging my audience to vote third party just so that they can be in your dreams. So that means if you're a liberal, you might get a visit from the mastermind. You might get a visit from Prim 54. Or either that, liberals, all of you, mandatory visit to the White House counselor. But no, Wendy's not making you any bread. You wait outside, and each of you explain why all of you are douchebags, okay?
This time.
But in Michigan, you have Gaza as an issue
That's true.
that you did not in 2016, where there's even more energy around all of that.
Yeah. All right.
Yes, because there's the fear. But this also talks about a bigger question, that is, what more will Democrats and liberals do to really control the media, to control the narrative? We were told that if Trump gets reelected in 2020 and even now in 2024, that Trump is going to silence and suppress free speech, silence journalists. But again, let's be clear, Trump did play his role, especially with the locking up of Julian Assange. However, if we're looking at those who ushered in the massive wave of censorship, you look none other than first name Barack, last name Obama. How many journalists and whistleblowers were, well, lost their careers or are behind bars? You know, telling the truth or exposing corruption, that gets you to jail. Doing a crime? No, you're just fine. Hey, that rhymed. What happened to Tavis Smiley isn't right. It is a sign of the desperation of the liberal media and the Democrats. They're afraid. They're afraid, folks. They're afraid. And so they do these childish antics of, here's an email at midnight. You will comply and follow orders. If Trump and his campaign did that, oh, you know the liberals would be foaming at the mouth. If Trump had did a fraction of that, oh, there'd be a whole fest protest a mile long. Liberals, you're showing your true colors. As I said, it's yellow. All of you are yellow belly. But where was this courage and fire that you guys once had, unless it was all an act? Because I remember 4 years ago, all of you activists, you social justice warriors, talking a big game, and you did talk a big game. But when push comes to shove, all of you really act quite Trumpian. And I hope you're offended by that. And I can't wait to vote third party just to live rent-free in your head. That's going to be great. And I encourage you, my audience, do whatever you want on election night. The world's your oyster. But one thing is abundantly clear, that the media is being controlled, that those who control our two-party system also control our media. And if you're a free thinker, sometime, if you're hosting your own show, you might get a knock at the door. Political police. You will ask these questions and comply. My advice, you tell them to F off.
If you fool me once, it's because I didn't think a guard was needed. If you fool me twice, it's because I didn't learn the lesson, so it bears repeating. If you try the same play 3 times running, it's because you know what's coming, and you didn't come to lead, you came to purposefully be misleading. Democracy is dry. It's been a century bleeding. The husk is gaping open to the sky, out in the field where all the sheep just keep on circling and worrying and bleeding. They're waiting for the shepherd that they've tried to hide their faith in, but he's so appealing. They'd gladly give their fleece. It's such a freeing feeling that even when he leads them to the ledge and starts to urge them on, they're positively beaming. They were told that they were on their way to save democracy, so even as they plummet, they just gloat. They don't consider screaming. And halfway up the cliff, the shepherd's cozy little mittens wrap around the staff of shattered human hopes on which he's leaning. He shows the gentle grin that used to stir your inner spark, and he says, not me, us, as he gestures to the oligarchs. He knows that if he runs, they're going to stop him like a stolen car. And he'll easily surrender because it bought a lot of time for laying mines in all the grassroots. Suddenly, the tiniest of movements gets you blown apart. Suddenly, you're in a play that's set on an election day and voting for the fire, unaware you're playing Joan of Arc. Suddenly, the shepherd pulls the rug and slips a hood across your clueless mug, and everything goes zero dark. I'm going to warn you once more before it's 2024 and you fuck around and find out who your heroes are. To take a step back from the herd and you'll learn that you can spot who all the shearers are. If you really want to know the product that they're selling, I can take you where the mirrors are. If you think your voice is finally ready, I can tell you where the lyrics are. I hid them in a box I had to bury neath the cobble when they carpet bombed the promenade and raided all the street bazaars. Now all we've got's the marketplace, and you're too broke to even bother asking what the options for your treatment are. Suddenly, the raw debris of homeless human dignity will find it has 100 teeth for every badge and sweeper's arm. Suddenly, they speak in solidarity and each is armed. Suddenly, the sheep can see the shepherd for his truest form and all pitch in at once to help him buy the farm. And now it's zero dark, and all is calm and peaceful save the distant wail of sirens that approach beside the flames of dawn. Suddenly, the carrot's just a string that's on a stick, and all your movements make you sick because the prize is gone. Now, we could go and flee into the forest low and meek, or we can exercise our right to feast and go and graze on Biden's lawn. Because he's been sowing seeds that seep a toxin out to sap a bit from each of us and keep on leaching decades after Biden's gone. So regardless who they summon out of hell to come and do the job, it will not feel like Biden's gone. But in that time of hopelessness, you cannot trust the shepherd when he once again comes asking you to humor him his siren song. And it's cute that you can innocently, honestly assume that's just a symptom of a system that was wired wrong, and not the standard feature, basic function, primary objective of a mass hypnosis firebomb. You don't need to know the words to cry along. Someday it'll hit you like an officer who pistol whipped their ride along. Broke his jaw and kept his job and kept it moving right along. That voting isn't red or blue or black or white or right or wrong. Voting's like a firing squad where you can choose the firearm. It's slow extinction by and large. It's Super Tuesday supercharged. It's all your futures, roots and all, just tossed out on a garbage barge. It's everybody dropping out to push the biggest oligarch. It's everybody voting fire, registered as Joan of Arc.